Hello, Money Queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, Money Queens. Welcome back to another episode of Women Behind the Millions, where we talk all things power, pink, and prosperity. Tonight's show makes me think of those moments in my career, in all of our careers as financial advisors, when you get that call. We all have been there. You get the call. My husband, my mom, my aunt, my loved one passed away. And you feel the emotional weight of that call. You feel the fear, the sadness, the hurt, the anger, all of that coming through on that call in. What do I do next? Right? Those blinding sentences. What do I do next? How do I get through this? How do I get my family through this? And what happens to me? What happens to the money? And that's what we're going to get into tonight. It's not going to be so heavy, ladies, because we're going to show you that there is a path forward despite all of this. And I want to also add in there things like divorce, or I just lost my job, or I got an early retirement package. What do I do next? I don't even know where to begin. As a prospect just said in my office on Friday, we don't even know where to begin. How do we make this happen? Well, I am Jessica Weaver, your host tonight, and you can see on your screen there is a QR code where you can go ahead and scan that code, and you are going to get one of our free guides, a little gift to you to get you thinking about your own thought leadership, the mission, the things that you stand for, and how to unite your community, the people around you. You'll also get a sneak peek into my newest book, The Pink Code, Living in Limitless Wealth, that's coming out July of 2026. Well, tonight we have one of our incredible financial trendsetters of Financial Trendsetters 3 with us. She's been in the industry for many years. April Crew is the co-CEO of Reed Financial Group. As an investment advisor representative, she has a legal fiduciary responsibility to act in her client's best interests. She holds a life, accident, and sickness license. She's gained her status as an investment advisor representative by passing the Series 65. She has been working with retirees in the greater Gwinnett area since 2007. Reed Financial Group is a local family-owned and operated company founded in 1979 by her father, Gary Reed. A lot of commonalities here, ladies. April works in specialized areas of retirement planning with a focus on income planning, Social Security, asset management, and tax mitigation for her clients and their beneficiaries. She is passionate about being that connection between your clients and the unknowns in their lives and being that trusted resource, as we mentioned before. So let's bring to the stage. Hello, April. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Hi, Jessica. I'm great. Thank you. So good to be here.
So great for you to be here on the show with us and be part of the Financial Trendsetters family. What has it been like having your chapter in this book and also just joining this mission that we all are united around?
It's been more rewarding than I anticipated, quite candidly, really reflecting on the last 20 years that got me here. And it's funny how when we go back and we look at our own story and we reflect on the individuals that we work with, that we've served in the past, those who are no longer with us, it's a very rewarding body of work to look back at all of that and the way that it culminated. It's been just an incredibly rewarding process.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. How about your own chapter? What was it like to write it? Was it therapeutic? Was it kind of validating on the career? You've been in the industry for many years. You've built something incredible. What was it like putting the words to paper?
Cathartic. I think is the best word that I can think of. Just reflecting on things that I hadn't necessarily thought about in years. And I always have said that I didn't choose this industry. This industry chose me. It wasn't my intent to go into financial services, even though my dad had a very successful firm. That's not what I went to college for. It's not what I aspired to. And I can't believe that, nearly 2 decades have gone past. And I love what I do every day. When we look back at where we've been, it's interesting to see and feel how all of the pieces of the puzzle really had to fall in place exactly the way that they did to get you where you are today. And I think going through that process of putting it on paper really kind of brings that to life for you and makes you realize things that you really might not have realized before, what family roles played into your career path and all of the little things that had to happen along the way to get you to exactly where you are now.
That's true. Divine timing, God sets us up in such a beautiful way. I remember somebody telling me, like, if we had our lives exactly how we wanted them mapped out and on our time frames, how disappointed we would be in the end.
I always think about that phrase of, how when we make plans, God laughs.
He's got a sense of humor.
And just realizing that we can lay out some ideas is the way that I look at it. We can calendar everything all day long, but that's just not always how the plan goes. And we have to be prepared in the moment, ready for the moment, live in the moment, and adjust because, like I said, life is what happens when we're busy making other plans.
That is so true. Live in the moments and enjoy those moments. Wise words, April. Wise words. I got to take note of that too. We're going to get into your career. We're going to get into all of it tonight. You start your chapter though with, I think, this metaphor analogy of you coaching your daughter in softball. I can relate. I coach my daughter in basketball, not softball, but take us into, what that moment was in this chapter and what you want the readers to get from sharing this beautiful moment between you and your daughter.
She started playing softball when she was about 6 years old, and I really didn't have much interest in it at all. We all have the stories of picking daisies in the outfield and watching the butterflies go by and the attention span or lack thereof at that age, running the wrong way on the bases, all the things. But, after a couple of seasons, we were really thinking, okay, this might not be for her. And when she started to realize that she was being underestimated because of her size, she's quite petite, by the way, kind of runs in the family. But when she began to realize that she was being really underestimated because of her size, that really lit a fire in her. And watching her growth through that journey, there's a specific moment in the chapter that I talk about where I coach third base. So I have a kind of unique vantage point of what I can hear from the other dugout. And I heard the other coaches and some of the things they were saying, and they brought their infield all the way in because she's so tiny and thought she'd be an automatic out. And she absolutely ripped one over the third baseman's head. And it was the best hit in the entire game. So, it's just this parallel to some of the challenges that as women that we encounter, especially in a very male-driven industry, and the way that you really know when you are where you're supposed to be. That moment, that aha moment where you're going, okay, yep, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I belong here.
Yes. Did you in that moment think she's going to be okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like seeing her whole future ahead of her.
There was that moment that, I said, okay, maybe this is for her. Maybe she just wasn't quite there yet. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And it's interesting because it clicks for everybody at such different ages.
And it really does. Some of these kids, they're out there and you're going, how, some of them don't have the attention span to even be watching the game, and others are just all world. It happens at different ages for everybody. And I think that's true of every phase in life, just because we haven't accomplished what we might want to, or, we might see others who we feel are further ahead in their career or whatever that milestone might be. But everybody has their own timeline.
Yeah, thinking about even for advisors, we usually say like that 5 year mark is usually when it starts to click and you get your confidence. You've been in the industry for a few years, you've seen different market cycles, you know how to talk to clients through those different cycles. For you, April, with your own career, where did you feel like it clicked being an advisor, where you felt you fully showed up?
That's a really good question. There are really a couple of moments that come to mind. One is, what you were alluding to at the open, which is the first time I got one of those phone calls. And I had a wife call me, and I was one of the first phone calls after her husband passed away. And what she said to me is something I'll never forget, that he was ready to go and that I would take care of her. And in that moment, I realized that what I'm doing is so much more than managing money or helping make sure that taxes are efficient, strategies are efficient, planning for the future. But it's being one of those very first phone calls, and the hard days and hard weeks and hard months and whatever struggle there might be. I really hold on to those moments, and sadly, the longer we do this, the more of those moments there are. But I would say, that was probably right around that time frame that you mentioned, maybe around the 5 year or so mark. And that was probably the most pivotal moment for me that I can recall.
Yes. I feel there are these certain moments when you leave a meeting and you're like, we're doing good work for people.
Yeah.
You feel like you're making a difference and you're doing really strong, solid, good work for them. And it's not just, trying to move through the meeting and get done with it, but being there, being present, feeling like you've made a change in their lives is huge. And it's such a vulnerable moment, like losing a spouse.
Yeah, and it's palpable sometimes. One of my favorites is when you see the literal weight lift off the shoulders. I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. But when there's a financial burden that someone has been carrying and they've been carrying it alone, or maybe they were just really struggling to navigate it, and that moment for them, that kind of aha moment where they realize that it's going to be okay, and that they have an advocate in their corner to guide them and help them make the right and educated decisions, you can just physically see their shoulders lift. You can see that weight leave, and it's just incredibly rewarding.
I'm curious too. Your father's been an advisor for probably most of your life. You've seen him, his career. Did you feel this about his work? How did you view him and his financial firm when you were a little girl?
I had no idea what he did when I was a little girl. I just loved going to the office and getting candy out of his secretary's drawer. So
this is enough. Same.
No idea. But, as I did get older, I still really, frankly, I just wasn't very interested. So I really didn't know a whole lot about it. I just know he worked with people and he worked with money. And when I got out of college and realized that maybe I hadn't made the right decisions with the major that I chose, I came into the firm exclusively to help fill a gap when he needed help. And just the atmosphere, the relationships, the problem solving, and truly the immense impact that I could see that he was making on families and on individuals. It drew me right in. And I said, whatever I've got to do to learn all of this, to get all the right licensures. And he was pulling some strings too. He saw what was starting to happen and started to make some gentle suggestions about, maybe you should get this license if you'll be around. So I think he saw it a lot sooner than I did, and kind of had this master plan from a succession standpoint of myself and my sister Abby. But really just being able to witness that firsthand and experience it, it was just something that I wanted to be a part of.
Well, a few years ago, had the opportunity to speak with your father behind stage. You were both about to speak at symposium in front of hundreds of advisors, and he was sharing just how proud he was of you and your sister. And he was beaming, talking about your success and the next generation for it too. It's interesting because now you can probably appreciate so much more as a parent. Those little nudges, it's like you can't let them know in on the secret or like what their plan is for you. Just like those gentle nudges, those little suggestions along the way. What are some key attributes you've learned from your father that you bring into your practice?
Be who you are. I really think that is above all else. Be true to yourself. And, what that meant for him, what that means for me and for our firm is transparency, openness, honesty, and really just being true to your word. When you say that you're going to be there for somebody in the hard times, and you have to be there in a big way, not just, helping with paperwork and things like that, but really checking in on them. I've held a good number of hands at this point of spouses who knew they were about to lose their loved one, or who just had lost their loved one, and really going above and beyond for them, checking on them to make sure that they're okay. And making sure that they have others in their life who are doing the same. Something that's really become a passion of mine through all of that is making sure that I do everything in my power to help people enjoy their money. I have a lot of people who just keep accumulating it. And a lot of times I think it comes from identity being tied to work or losing a spouse. And there's just not a desire to go and live. And I really encourage people on a routine basis to have a bucket list and to hold yourself accountable to it, because ultimately we can't take it with us. So, really helping people find a way to enjoy life in any way that I can.
Yes, I love that. So being who you are, being open, honest, transparent, and helping them enjoy their money. We're going to take a quick moment to take a look at the new book, Financial Trendsetters 3, a new bestseller that you can grab now on Amazon. Let's take a look, April. What if money wasn't separate from who you are, but an extension of how you live? Financial Trendsetters 3 brings together powerful women from across the financial industry who are redefining leadership, wealth, and legacy on their own terms. Led by Nora Gillis, this book features the voices of Amber Bentley, Sarah Elia, Tanya Cleaver, Vicky Beam, Maple Crew, Karen Santini Clemens, Sarah Branston, Kimberly Garcette, Leah West, Colleen Goodwillie, Amy Frank Goldman, and Jessica Weaver. Women who are integrating money into the full picture of life, not treating it as something separate or intimidating. These stories are honest, they're human, and they reflect what's possible when women lead with authenticity, value, and purpose. Even more meaningful, proceeds from this book help fund a scholarship for a woman entering a career in finance, supporting the next generation of leaders in our industry. Financial Trendsetters 3 is more than a book, it's a movement, and it's here. All right, we are back with April Cruz from our new book, Financial Trendsetters 3. You can read her chapter now. Grab your copy on Amazon.com. We were just talking about, working with her father, the different traits that she's learned from him. Be who you are, stay true to yourself. Talking about those phone calls, those integral pieces of our career, of our practices. I want to switch over, April, to, did you have any insecurities when you started out as an advisor? Because I feel them. I know other women have. I'm curious for yourself. Did you feel like an imposter at all?
A little bit, not immediately. It had really more to do with, I think, first my youth before, being a female in a male-driven industry. But I came into the industry fresh out of college, working with our average client who was 40 plus years older than I was. And I had this complex of, how will I earn and command their respect, that I know what I'm doing, that I am competent, that I'm knowledgeable, and not, I just had this fear that they would look at me like, what do you know? How could you possibly have the experience and the knowledge to tell me what to do with my life savings? And you could be my granddaughter, in essence. What I rapidly learned, though, was that as I displayed that I did have knowledge and core competency, and I was confident in what I was doing, my youth actually became an asset. Because one of the most common questions that advisors get asked is, what is your succession plan? And a lot of advisors don't have a great answer for that question. They don't have one. So when, the fact that we're a family company and the fact that I was part of a succession plan and that not only would I be there to see them to and through their retirement, but I would also be there for their children. That's extremely valuable to families who are interested in long-term relationships. And I really, I haven't had many times in my career where I could say that being a female was anything but a tremendous asset. That was something that was, always top of mind for me as well, because especially back then, when you attended any financial conference, you were one of 2 or 3 women out of hundreds, oftentimes. And that's a little bit uncomfortable until you get used to it. And I love now that when I attend financial conferences, I look around the room and I'm not one of 2 or 3 anymore. I'm one of maybe 20, 30, 40 out of hundreds. And I see that number continuing to grow. And I hope we continue to see that trend because, we're capable of doing this in a way that is very unique. Women are very intuitive. They're good communicators and they're very good at harvesting and fostering and maintaining relationships. And I just really hope we continue to see that trend.
Yes, amen. And that's why we have the Trendsetter series, because each book brings a scholarship to women who are studying finance, economics, accounting, get more of them into the industry. And then from there, we're stemming a mentorship program, internship program, because you're right, we do need more and more women in there. And great point about age. There is ageism. I felt the same way. Like, who is pretty little girl? She's so young. Who are you to be telling me what to do with my money? Especially with men with egos. And there are men with egos. And it can be very challenging for it. So I love that you were able to spin that into a positive and be like, listen, I'm young, I'm eager. I am part of a succession plan. I've been trained by the best, your father, one of the goats for it too. How about, as we're wrapping up this interview, I'm curious about your day-to-day life now. You're a working mom. You're very active and engaged with your family. Your husband also works with you. Tell me about that dynamic.
People ask us all the time how we work together and still love each other. I don't know. We love it. We have very different roles in the company. We're not always in the same place working either, but we just have opposite strengths and it works very, very well for us. And I love it. Being a working mom is certainly, as you very well know, a challenge. It's not something that's easy. You have to have good people in your corner. You have to have a great team who is very reliable and can help run things at all times, whether you're there or not. And, you asked about my day to day. And one of my goals at this point in my career was that I would be to the point where taking on clients would be a choice and not a necessity. And where the majority of my time was spent just quality time with clients and in the community and with my family. And I'm very blessed to say that's where I find myself now, very involved with our youth. And as I mentioned before, the coaching, being on the board of directors for a local softball program here and really pouring into the youth in our community. So these little girls need role models. And this is an industry where we can build a structure that we can have that day to day and that financial freedom, and that we can also give it to other people, to our employees, to our clients. And it can be transformative. It's a tremendous blessing.
That is huge. To talk about the little girls being able to see you having it all, right? Having the family, having the business, the career that you want, being involved with your family's lives. For it too, because you think of, I think over half of girls quit sports by grade 7th and 8th grade, which is devastating. I remember talking to other coaches about it. They said, we need more women coaches. We need more girls to see women in leadership roles as well, because again, we're not taught leadership, especially outside of sports. We're not taught it for it. And little girls can be on the quieter, less risk-taking side of things too. So it makes such a big difference for you doing those things with the youth. And I think it's beautiful being able to build something with your husband, to build something together and being in it together as well is incredible. Well, April, we have one more question for you. Are you ready for it?
I hope so.
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
Consistency, having a wonderful team and family support, and really having a passion for what I do and the people that I serve.
That's beautiful. It's so nice, April. Thank you so much for being on Women Behind the Millions, for being part of our Trendsetters, a family now, our community, and just keeping it growing and building stronger and stronger as we go. But at the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's being that person on the other side of that phone call for people to trust in you, to rely on you, to know that you will be there when life throws something at them. And that is you, April. That is you to a T. Thank you so much. And thank you all to tuning in tonight for another episode of our TV show. We will have more of our Trendsetters coming up every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on E360. And don't forget to grab your copy of the book. We'll see you next week. Bye, ladies. Bye.
Hey, money queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures? Follow us on Instagram at PinkFixMyMoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money tips.